Find out how WWE unjustly denied Jey Uso his shot at a major title match and win earlier this year. It could have changed the course of history and put Jey in a spot that fans have wanted to see him in. In this video, we're going to discuss that and get all in the details, because Jey Uso has been putting on some really great matches as a babyface on Monday Night Raw lately. Even though he's been performing well, he hasn't been able to win important matches, something in which I've documented here on the channel, as well as his father, because this has caused Rikishi to speak out against the company for the way that they've been booking his son. There were plans for Jey to win a championship, but those plans were canceled. Despite his strong performances, he has still not managed to win a singles championship. Sure, he's a former tag team champion, and sure, he's been in big matches, but he's yet to get the big one. Now, earlier this year, he's had multiple opportunities, whether that be feuding with Gunther for the IC title, coming up short against Damian Priest for the world title at Backlash France, and even competing in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. But he didn't come out on top on all of those. Still, Jey Uso remains a key figure on Monday Night Raw in WWE's creative. Gunther, he had an impressive 666-day reign as the Intercontinental Champion. Now, that reign came to a close at WrestleMania 40 when Sami Zayn defeated him for the title. However, things are a little interesting, because original plans for the championship match at WrestleMania 40 might not have been what WWE originally went with. It was much different, in fact. Earlier this year, Gunther defended his title against Jey Uso on a March episode of Monday Night Raw, where Gunther won the match and retained said championship, and he did so with the help of Jey Uso, setting up their match at WrestleMania 40. Now, of course, Jey and Jimmy, well, they went their own ways. Jey, he officially kicked himself out of the bloodline. He moved from SmackDown to Monday Night Raw, while Jimmy stayed in the group. Once that feud with Jey was over, well, Solo Sikoa and the Tagas, they didn't have much room for him, and so they kicked him out. And as of recording of this video, we have yet to see him. Now, that leads us to today's video, because according to former WWE host Matt Camp, and while speaking on his Wrestling Matt YouTube show, there were initial ideas for Jey Uso to challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. Now, Camp mentioned that there were discussions also about Jey potentially beating Gunther and then facing Jimmy for the title at WrestleMania 40. This idea was talked about between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but in the end, though, it ultimately got changed to Gunther versus Jey on Monday Night Raw. Gunther retaining, going on and losing said championship to Sami Zayn, while Jey went and fought his brother in a singles match. This is what he had to say. There were plans at the beginning of the year for Jey and Gunther for the IC title. They ended up doing it on Raw, but that was in play as a potential WrestleMania match. That was in play, as I stated, between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which I know eventually happened. That was in play. How about this? Jey beating Gunther was in play for the IC title before WrestleMania, with the idea of going Jimmy and Jey for the IC title. I know that was talked about, Matt Camp said. So a lot to break down here, and he did go on and talk about, how great Jey and Gunther is, and etc. Think about that for a minute. Think about those two potential scenarios playing out on television. Think about not only Jey being the guy to end Gunther's historic, dominant, just unbelievable run as IC champion. He literally put the IC title back where it belongs, as a title in which fans should care about. Jey Uso could have been the guy. We talk about here a lot on the channel that WWE doesn't go with Jey Uso. They don't give him the big win. Sure, he's in big matches and he's facing big opponents, but he never gets the job done. And it's frustrating as a fan, and I'm sure you're out there as well. The idea of him not only beating Gunther, but you could do it on Monday Night Raw, and then him going into a championship match with his brother, which no doubt would have got more time. We all know this. Jimmy has confirmed that, yes, the match time for their WrestleMania 40 match was sliced. It was cut right before they went out. And it kind of messed up their timing. It messed up their spots. Nowadays, they don't call it on the fly, y'all. Everything is pre-planned in the back. And you start messing up some spots, well, things can get out of whack. And it threw them off. It threw off their chemistry. The idea of Jimmy being able to compete for a major singles title, that would have been significant for his career. Sure, he would have lost. Jey had to get his revenge. Now, I will say this, the idea of doing Jey versus Gunther at WrestleMania, that would have been interesting as well. I think, though, in the end, Sami Zayn being the guy to defeat Gunther, I think that was a better story. I think the chemistry between them was slightly better if you compare Sami Zayn matches with Gunther versus Jey Uso matches with Gunther. I think the storyline leading into Mania was a lot better with Gunther and Sami if you compared it to Jey versus Gunther. Also, I guess you could have still done Sami versus Gunther, but I don't think it would have meant as much. Also, would you really have had Gunther lose said Intercontinental title in March and then just put him in a random singles match, a few weeks later at Mania? I don't know how that would have worked. And so while I would love to see Jey Uso win a singles championship in WWE, regardless of that being the world title or even the Intercontinental title, I actually agree with WWE. Something I'm very, very rare to do because I do not agree with their booking of Jey Uso. It boggles my mind. I think they made the right call in the end. I mean, Jey Uso's a guy that anytime he's selling new merch, well, he moves it in droves. I mean, he's one of their highest merch sellers. You talk about putting him on television, he moves ratings. Social media engagement goes through the roof when you even mention the name Jey Uso. His YouTube numbers are out of this world. Go and look at his YouTube numbers on WWE's YouTube channel. The guy is a star, yet WWE, it's half measured, right? He's in there with big names for big titles and big matches, yet he never can win the big one. And that's kind of the knock on Jey Uso as a single star. It boggles my mind. The idea that Sami Zayn is a multi-time Intercontinental Champion, yet Jey Uso isn't, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think Jey and Jimmy needed the title anyways. I think there was a lot of heat built into it regardless. I think the fact that you did have Jimmy cost Jey the championship, I do think that helped their storyline and their rivalry and the build into Mania. But man, from the get-go of that match at Mania, you could just tell they were absolutely flat. And that was a shame because this is a long time coming, but as longtime fans know, it's very rare for WWE to be able to book a brother versus brother match and it actually work. It's just one of those things, it just sounds good, but it just never works out. I'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comments area below. If you like more Jey Uso content, I highly recommend you check out our playlist and check out all of our content covering Jey Uso. And while you're there, hit that notification bell so you are notified every single time we upload new wrestling content to the channel. And oh, by the way, do us a favor and hit that like button. It helps us out tremendously. Thank you so much for your support, watching this video, supporting the channel, changing my life, and I will see y'all in the next video.